right, folks, welcome back to BEG Wrestling. We are here with none other than the United States 62 kilogram qualifier for the Paris Olympics 2024, Kayla Miracle.
That's me.
Incredible last name, by the way.
Thank you. I got it from my dad.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you the next, but hey, Kayla, by the way, you've come a long way here, and you were actually, fun fact, the first ever state qualifier in Indiana as a woman in a boys division.
Yes.
So you could probably beat me up, right?
I mean, maybe high school Kayla, but I haven't wrestled the guys, in a while, so I don't know. But I did have Sarah. She is 3 years older than me, but she was a senior when I was a freshman, so I kind of had her to look after and follow her steps, and so she was the first one to make it to semi-state, and then I made it to semi-state. We both did, I think, her senior, my freshman year, and then she obviously graduated, went on to college, and then sophomore year was the year that I did that, and just this last year, we had Ocampo. Whoa, fly. We had Ocampo actually placed at state, and she took it another step. So I'm glad that, that
you're kind of setting the example.
Claim to fame is over, and people are now passing it. So it's
well,
good.
No, you're right, and you bring up a good point and kind of the whole rise of women's wrestling. But I'm going to ask you about that. But before we get into that, in 2020 Olympics, you got 12th, and since then you have 2 world silver medals. Overall, how are you feeling right now going into these Olympics?
I feel it's weird because I feel confident, but not in a cocky way of yeah, I'm going to beat all these people up. It's I know I've been there before and I know I belong here. It was the same feeling going into the trials. It was last quad, I had made one team before. And so it was do I belong here? Am I supposed to be on this team? I don't know. I have to prove myself, and you do have to prove yourself. But it was I know I can do this, and I've done it time and time again. So now I just have to do my job again. And so it's kind of the same thing. I've been there before. I'm excited that I get to actually have the Olympic experience without COVID. Making it so I don't have family and friends there. We don't get the same processing with the gear, things like that. This fly just really wants to be a superstar.
That's why he's not going away, is he? Jeez,
but yeah, so confident and calm and just kind of excited. We have one tune-up event, and so just excited to see where I'm at and what I can tweak up until August. Yeah,
well, okay, so you mentioned this is not your first time going through this Olympic run. However, it is different from previously, and in 2020 we had COVID. Let me ask you, what has been the most difficult part of your journey to make this Olympic team, and maybe what's different than previously?
So I think last Olympic team was just kind of first time you got to do it, a lot of nerves. This time it was, it's been a long quad. It's been a short quad because it was only 3 years, but it's been very long in the sense of injuries, coaching drama, training situation wasn't working out. So just trying to figure all those things out, and it really just kind of ran me into the ground. And actually, over New Year's, I hit a point where I was something big has to change, or I'm not going to finish the quad. And I was I was at a breaking point. And thankfully, I had some really great people. I got to go out to the University of Iowa and train with Clarissa Chun and her team. I have Lee Pritz at home training with me and coaching me, and he's great, good vibes all the time. So I had really good people, and then my girlfriend obviously being very selfless and hey, if you got to go and you have to find these things to give this quad a real run, you need to do that because you're not going to be able to live with yourself if you don't.
Yeah.
And so she's been super supportive there. So I think it's more of a mental game, this quad, and that's the difference here.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. So, I can only imagine that, and you kind of briefed on how difficult it is just to get to this point. Now you're here. What would you be satisfied with going into these Olympics? What are your goals here?
The goal since I was 4 was to be an Olympic champion. So that's the goal, right? And we have that. But I think there's a difference between reaching your goal and being satisfied. And I think it's hard to be all right, if I don't win this medal or this many matches, or I win by this many points, that's hard. You're never going to be satisfied, really.
Yeah.
So I think my real goal is to just go in there and compete to the best of my ability. And I think last quad in Tokyo, I didn't do that. I was not the best Kayla that I could be at that time and place. And I lost a close match because of it. And it ended my Olympic run. And so this time around, it's just like, I want to wrestle 6 minutes for 6 minutes. And I'm going to trust that my coaches, my training partners, my training has paid off, and that version of myself is going to be capable of winning an Olympic gold medal. I'm sitting here now and I know that I can. I've been in the world finals twice, so it's like I know I'm right up there, but I have to show up. And so I just want to show up and be free and let it go, and I think that's what'll make me satisfied. You know, like, it's not always going to be a storybook ending for everybody, and that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, only 6 women are going to go home actually happy because there are only going to be 6 champs. So hopefully I am one of them, but in the end, it's just being my best self, and I'll be satisfied.
Yeah. So you kind of talked about the difficulties of physical and mental. I just want to ask you, what, in your opinion, what is more difficult, the physical training or like the mental fortitude that is required to be an athlete of this caliber?
Mental, 100%. I think anyone can do hard things. We can push through a hard practice. You know, you can work on your technique. You can focus on your weak areas, things like that. You can work really hard in strength and conditioning. You know, you can push through those bike sprints, the Airdyne sprints. And that's easy in a sense. Like, it hurts. It's like, it hurts and it's painful, but it's not, you're not like suffering. And sometimes, like, the mental aspect, it's not just in the room that you're thinking about these things or going through these things. It's, you take it home with you, and it's with you 24/7, and you have to figure out a way to work with it. And, like, you know, anxiety is going to be there, fear is going to be there, doubt's going to be there, but it's like, how can I use those things to help myself when I'm in the room, but also how can I use them and, like, dampen them down almost? You know, like, I can have fear and anxiety, but those things can't have me. They can't have a control over me. And I think figuring out a way to control them is tricky. And not everyone can figure that out. And I think there are so many really great athletes that can't figure that out, and they can't figure out that piece of the puzzle, so they can't make that next step. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And, I mean, it sounds to me like a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I do want to ask you, because the recent growth in women's wrestling, and you mentioned you've been out in Iowa, I would say especially in Iowa. Iowa's taken over women's wrestling. I just want to ask you how you initially got into it, because, again, I think women's wrestling is on the brink of exploding, and I think by sharing the stories of how you even just initially got into wrestling might be beneficial for, like, the younger women's generation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my story is the basic one, the normal one of my dad was a coach, my brother wrestled, and so I was around it. And I'm 4 years old, and I'm climbing the ropes, and my dad's like, wait, where's Kayla in practice? And they're like, oh, she's up there. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And so I'm just like that crazy kid. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm bored of this. Like, what's that meme where he's like, or that video, and he's like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. I was like, I'm tired of this, Dad. Like, just sitting on the side. And I asked my parents if I could try it, and my mom was like, yeah, sure. Like, we'll know where you're at. You know, you're going to be on the mat competing. You're not going to be under the bleachers being crazy. You know, let's do this. And then my dad actually didn't really vibe with the idea of it. He had some girls in his club, and they were kind of there for the wrong reasons, like to get close to guys, to prove something, not for, like, the love of the sport. And he kind of struggled to deal with that, and he thought it would be the same way with me. But eventually he was like, you know what, we'll let you try. So he actually made practices really tough. He had some guys that were on his team for years quit. They were like, whoa, this is not what we signed up for. And I'm 4 years old, and I'm like, this is so fun. I love it. And just stuck with it. And, you know, when I was 4, I was like, I want to be an Olympic champion. Women's wrestling wasn't even in the Olympics. I'm like, I don't even think I knew what the Olympics were. I just, like, heard that it was, like, this pinnacle thing. I'm like, yeah. Great idea. I'm going to do that. And, yeah, just stuck with it. Crazy enough, fast forward however many years, 16, 15 years, and my dad is a women's college wrestling coach. So we had a nice 180 there. So we love growth.
Yeah. Wow, that's an awesome story. Yeah. And you lead me to my next question. So after you win this gold medal, what's the first thing you're going to do?
I don't know. Just chill for a second.
Take a break.
I gotta. I hope you keep that in there though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Take a little break. Figure out my life. Unfortunately, with Sunkist, taking a step back, I have to figure out that side of things if I want to keep wrestling. And I won't know until that final whistle blows how I'm gonna actually be feeling. So I can't be like, yeah, I'm done after this, because we saw that happen with Sarah Hildebrandt last quad, where she's like, I'm done after this, and then she gets her bronze and she's like, I'm not done. Like, we got to go again.
And she's back. Yeah.
It could be the same exact thing, or I could be like, I'm gonna keep going, and then win the Olympic gold. And I'm like, I'm satisfied. I'm good. Like, I don't need to do this. And I'd love to go into coaching, potentially some teaching. I was a math major in college, so that's an option too. But yeah, just I think hang out for a little bit, be a normal human, not really have to worry about. All my friends get to go like play pickleball. My girlfriend and I love rock climbing, and some of those times, like, she's like, you want to go do this? I'm like, I just had 2 really crazy practices. I have nothing left in me to do this, and I'm like, I want to be able to do that. So just enjoy life and enjoy my family and my friends. I know we're gonna stay a couple extra days in Paris, and
cool.
Really enjoy it. And it's the first time my girlfriend's traveling overseas, so we're gonna do all the touristy things and enjoy it, and get to hang out with my sister a little bit. And I know at least one brother's coming, maybe the other 2, and just have fun with the fam.
Yeah. Well, you led me right into my last question.
You're welcome.
Which
I'm
is,
just teeing you up.
we all want to know, tell us something about Kayla that we don't know. We talk about the wrestling, but what do you do for fun? I mean, you don't have a lot of time, but what do you do for fun?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the day, right? I mean, like, obviously I love TV shows. If you know what this means, you should write it in the comments, right? Down below. That's usually what it is.
Is that The Office? Yeah. Okay.
So
wow. They're coming out with a new 10-year anniversary or 20-year anniversary season.
Okay. So that's what I'll be doing after the Olympics. I'll be watching
there you
that.
go.
But yeah, no, I've gotten really into reading over the last couple of years, getting into some like romantasy. So Sarah J. Maas is my whole world right now. She's an author. And then pickleball, climbing, anything like that. We love a good pool day, just stuff like that. Just anything random. Legos. I think on my USA Wrestling bio, I think I have pickleball pro, Lego enthusiast, and like one other thing. I have 4 animals, so 3 cats and a dog.
Wow.
So I'm a mother, and
so wrestling, just a small piece of the pie in your life.
Just a tiny little piece.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just have to be able to buy them treats and toys and keep them happy. That's really it.
Well, Kayla, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. This has been incredible. I think everyone in America, we're all rooting for you, and best of luck. And hey, thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for
Let's
having me.
go, America. Thank you.